Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Factions have been a mainstay in pro wrestling for a long time now. The idea of a faction gives the promotion a wide variety of storylines to play with over the course of a long period of time, which could be several years in some cases. Some of WWE's biggest superstars were once part of major factions. The Rock, Randy Orton, Batista, Roman Reigns, and many more were once affiliated to factions and utilized these runs to get themselves over with the audience. There have been instances in the past, though, where a superstar realized that being a part of a faction could benefit them in the long run and offered to join the faction. In this list, we'll focus on 3 superstars who asked to join a faction, but were rejected. Also, we will take a look at 2 WWE superstars who were offered spots in factions, but they rejected the offers. By the time October came around, the Hurt Business had become one of the most dominant factions in all of WWE and was wreaking havoc on Raw on a weekly basis. WWE superstar Titus O'Neil was watching the faction closely and finally decided to approach them with an offer. O'Neil offered his services to the Hurt Business and stated that with his connections and public image, he could take the faction worldwide. MVP and others took a couple of seconds to ponder on the same and made their decision in a quick manner. The quartet hinted that O'Neil was now a part of the Hurt Business. As he shook hands with Bobby Lashley, MVP and Lashley cleared the air and a beatdown commenced immediately. Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander beat Titus O'Neil down, making it clear as day that his offer had been rejected by the Hurt Business. At WWE Survivor Series 2004, Randy Orton and company defeated Triple H and his band of villains in a traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Every winner was given an opportunity to become Raw GM for 1 week, with Maven getting the first shot at the same. Maven gave himself a world title match against Triple H in the main event of Raw, and the game didn't want any of it. He tried to talk Maven out of having the match by offering him a spot in Evolution, but Maven had made up his mind. Maven had suffered some serious punishment at WWE Survivor Series, but was still hell-bent on wanting a title shot. The match was marred with interference from several Raw superstars, including Snitsky, who kicked Maven in the head during the final moments of the match. A pedigree followed and was enough for Triple H to pick up the win. One wonders where would Maven be today if he had accepted Triple H's offer to join Evolution, which went down in history as one of the greatest factions of all time. The Iconics were split up earlier this year after being together for the entirety of their careers in WWE. Billy Kay is now on SmackDown, while Peyton Royce is a part of the Red brand. For a while now, Kay has been approaching a bunch of WWE superstars with her resume and headshot in an attempt to land a gig. It didn't work with the Street Profits, as well as King Corbin, but Billy Kay didn't stop here. She approached the Riot Squad during Talking Smack and offered to give some guidance to the duo. In response, Ruby Riott and Morgan challenged her to a tag team match on SmackDown. This week, Billy Kay and Natalya lost to the Riot Squad, and the post-match interview that Morgan and Riott gave is bound to leave Kay in disappointment. Ruby Riott stated that they already have a third member in Sarah Logan, who's off being a mom, and added that they don't really want to look at Billy Kay's resume. She further said that Kay is going to have to show her resume to someone else, thus making it known that they don't want to add her to the faction. The summer of 2010 saw the Nexus wreaking havoc on the WWE roster. The band of rookies was attacking everyone in its path, and it was John Cena who finally decided to put an end to the chaos. Cena and Wade Barrett had a talk on the July 19, 2010 edition of Raw, which saw Barrett offering Cena a spot in the stable. According to Barrett, Cena could achieve 10 times what he already had in WWE if he joined him. Cena pondered on it a bit and finally refused to join the squad. Barrett, in a fit of rage, told Cena to leave the ring like a coward or take the beating of his life at the hands of the Nexus. Cena left the ring, but he had an ace up his sleeve. He told Barrett that he had assembled a team that was going to take on the Nexus at SummerSlam 2010 and finally put an end to the chaos. a string of WWE superstars joined Cena on the ramp, including Bret Hart. At SummerSlam 2010, Team WWE defeated the Nexus, with Cena being the sole survivor. Back in September, the Hurt Business added another member to the mix in Cedric Alexander. The former WWE Cruiserweight Champion turned heel on the September 7, 2020 edition of Raw and joined the trio. WWE's official Twitter handle later posted a picture of the carnage Alexander and company left in the ring, and the tweet garnered an interesting response from none other than WWE superstar Mia Yim. She stated that the Hurt Business won't even consider looking at her resume. Eventually, Mia Yim ended up joining another faction that went on to feud with the Hurt Business, Retribution. Yim, now known as Reckoning, became an integral part of Retribution, and the unruly stable wreaked havoc on the WWE roster for months on end. She took on Dana Brooke in her in-ring debut back in November in a losing effort. Mia Yim has a bright future ahead of her as a WWE superstar, and it would be interesting to see how the character of Reckoning fares for her in the coming months. In WWE, factions have played a major role in elevating careers, solidifying legacies, and shaping the direction of storylines. While many superstars have thrived as part of dominant groups like Evolution, The Shield, or The Bloodline, others have either been denied membership or have outright refused to be part of a faction. Let's take a look at 3 WWE superstars who were rejected by factions and 2 who turned down the opportunity to join one. The Miz is one of the most decorated WWE superstars of the modern era. But back in the early days of his career, he struggled to gain credibility. During his time on WWE's reality-based competition Tough Enough, The Miz idolized classic factions like the New World Order and NGO. When he transitioned into WWE as a brash, cocky reality TV star, many thought he would fit the mold of the group had it still been active. However, when Miz expressed admiration for the NGO and even attempted to align himself with some of its former members in backstage segments, he was mocked and dismissed. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall reportedly saw him as too green and not the type of superstar that fit the faction's legacy. Miz would later prove doubters wrong by becoming a multi-time WWE champion, but his early rejection was a reality check that fueled his drive to succeed. Baron Corbin has undergone multiple gimmick changes in his WWE career, from the Lone Wolf to King Corbin to Happy Corbin. When Edge first formed the Judgment Day in 2022, the group had a dark and dominant aesthetic that could have meshed well with Corbin's menacing persona. Reports and rumors suggested that Corbin was considered for a role in the faction early on, but ultimately he was not included. Instead, the group expanded with Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio, leaving Corbin on the outside looking in. While it's unclear if the rejection was a creative decision or if the faction simply didn't need him, Corbin has continued to evolve his character without the backing of a dominant stable. The Bloodline, led by Roman Reigns, has been one of the most dominant factions in WWE history, with members like the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman guiding the group's strategy. The Bloodline has crushed nearly every major star that stood in their way. Matt Riddle, a former tag team champion and rising singles competitor, once teased the idea of aligning himself with the Bloodline. However, his laid-back, surfer-like personality and comedic nature clashed with the serious, ruthless approach of Roman Reigns and his faction. Reigns publicly dismissed the idea, seeing Riddle as more of a nuisance than an asset. Riddle instead found himself feuding with the Bloodline rather than standing alongside them. One of the most memorable faction-related storylines in WWE history involved Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family. In late 2013 and early 2014, Bray Wyatt attempted to recruit Bryan into his eerie, cult-like stable. After weeks of psychological and physical torment, Bryan shockingly joined the group, wearing the signature jumpsuit and following Bray's orders. However, it was all a ruse. Bryan had no real intention of being a long-term member and was only biding his time before striking back. In one of the most iconic moments in Raw history, Bryan turned on Wyatt inside a steel cage, leading the crowd in a massive yes chant. His refusal to truly embrace the Wyatt family solidified him as a fan favorite heading into WrestleMania 30. If there's one WWE superstar who epitomized defiance, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. During the late 1990s, Vince McMahon's corporation faction ruled WWE, featuring The Rock, Big Boss Man, Shane McMahon, and others. The goal of the group was to control the WWE Championship and eliminate anti-authority figures. Vince McMahon wanted Austin to fall in line, but the Texas Rattlesnake refused at every turn. Austin's rejection of the corporation led to one of the greatest rivalries in wrestling history, Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon. Austin never sold out, never bowed to authority, and his refusal to join the group only fueled his legendary career. Factions in WWE can make or break a superstar's career, but as history shows, not everyone gets accepted or is willing to play along. The Miz, Baron Corbin, and Matt Riddle all experienced rejection, but each found their own path. On the flip side, legends like Daniel Bryan and Stone Cold Steve Austin proved that sometimes saying no to a faction is the best decision for a career. In WWE, alliances come and go, but the impact of these decisions often lasts a lifetime. Whether rejected or defiant, these superstars carve their own legacy, proving that success in WWE doesn't always require a faction's back.